two tools that I give people to tame the chaos. And then that way you can become part of my world and know what's going on. I have classes that I teach on a monthly basis, and you can kind of keep up with me and all the weekly videos I send out and everything like that in that way. And again, if you follow me on social media, you'll know everything that's going on.
That's awesome.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Tammy. What a delight to have your very practical, very helpful solutions to tame the chaos, because we all have chaos.
And to get unstuck.
Yes, getting unstuck. Yes.
Yeah. And I think I gave you guys a free gift, which is for people who say they don't get signs and synchronicities, they can get a prayer, which actually is directly from my book, a prayer to Archangel Haniel, in order to release some of the blocks that might be blocking them from signs. So that's actually a free gift that I'm giving to you guys.
Perfect.
Well, what a beautiful, generous gift. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful having this conversation with you. We are now due to take a 10-minute break. So use that time to get into the now and switch off. And we'll see you back here in 10 minutes for the Circle of 12. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed your 10-minute break and got to switch out, just like what Tammy was explaining to us, to get up from the computer and 60-second breaks, right?
60-second breaks, right?
That's really good advice.
I never heard it itemized like I was doing it. I had no idea that this was an actual process that I discovered. But I was doing it very, very short things, and I'm realizing that for all of us, it would be better to just, get out and about a little more.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I hope you take advantage of the things that Tammy has to offer. She has a lot of free stuff as well, so I encourage you to do that.
But I'm still not sure I'd get a juicer. I don't know. For those of you, now don't write me letters. I probably need a juicer.
I think if they made a juicer for coffee, you'd be all in for it.
Okay, now the secret's out. That's a great idea, actually.
All right. Well, I think now we should move into the circle of 12. And as we prepare for that circle of 12 meditation, I invite you to ponder some questions. And the first question is this: is there a grander purpose for my being here? Is there a grander purpose for my being here? Is there a grander purpose for my being here? The second question I ask you to ponder: is there something I am to remember from my Akash? Is there something I am to remember from my Akash? Is there something I am to remember from my Akash? And the last question is, what can I do to enhance the energy around me? What can I do to enhance the energy around me? What can I do to enhance the energy around me? And let us give a statement that says, I am willing to receive the answers to my questions, and I give permission for my soul and the Creator to reveal them in a way that I can understand. I am ready, dear Kryon, to come a little closer.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon. Come a little closer. Today you heard the teacher, Tammy, and she talked about signs and synchronicities. I would like to weigh in on this. That means I want to talk about it a little further. What is the method of spirit talking to a human being? I think most of you already understand that communications with the Creator, with your soul, with any of these things which you would call spiritual and outside the purview of 3D, any of these things is not linear. It's not words on a wall. It's not voices from beyond. Spirit does not work that way. There are even those who say, I hear voices in my head. Spirit does not work that way. Spirit does not give voices or writing or the things that you would suspect are communications. It's almost always that which is multidimensional. Multidimensional communication comes in fours, especially threes sometimes, and that is in what we will call synchronicities. But when you see it past the threes and past the fours, pay attention, because now Spirit's trying to get your attention. I would like to then to say to you that this is the way Spirit speaks. How did you hear about the circle of 12? How many times did you run across the phrase, or perhaps see that which was given to you to remind you of something that you didn't know anything about? Or perhaps somebody told you about it. This is how Spirit works. All through that which is your life, these signs and synchronicities are the only thing that we have to give you to get you to look. My partner has taught now for many years on the theme of gotcha to look. In other words, that is the way it worked for him. Every single one of you is different. You think differently. Some of you are artistic. Some of you are logic-driven. Some of you mathematically. In every single one of those scenarios, there are things that Spirit can do that create attention. For my partner, he had to have a logical argument that was illogical. Something that could not have happened that he wanted to examine. That brought him, literally, to the chair to meet me. Now that was his process and his puzzle. But he couldn't leave it alone. And he couldn't leave it alone because of those signs and synchronicities that were, to him, non-matching. And his process was to match them. And in that trying to match them, he saw that they could only be matched with something multidimensional that he didn't expect, called love. Now, his puzzle is different than yours. And each human being is honored for their process. So there's no generality. Look for this sign. Look for that sign. Look for this synchronicity. Look for that synchronicity. It doesn't work that way. How would you like to think that all of these things are tailor-made for you? Spirit wants to speak to every single one of you in signs and synchronicities. This was the teaching of today. It's available. It is common. It happens because each one of you has a gift of validating the things that you have through intuition. Validating the things that you would have through intuition. Dear Spirit, should I do this? Should I do that? And then you sit and you wait for an answer. How about, dear Spirit, show me a sign. Give me some synchronicities to help me to know, should I do this? Should I do that? And then they start showing up. This is communication, is it not? It's what we wanted to talk about. It's difficult because some of you will still say, I'm not really certain if I can see them or if I will miss them. It is such an easy solution. It comes from you giving intent. Dear Spirit, help me to see the signs. Dear Spirit, help me to see the synchronicities. Now you're asking for an awareness perhaps you were afraid you didn't have. Do you see how this works? You're not going to miss them if you ask not to miss them. This a lot, but you should know it, because in that I am telling you that there are things that are maybe hiding. There may be even some what they call Easter eggs. One of them, did you know that there's audio only of these shows? And that's for those who wish to listen later or perhaps don't have a strong internet and wish to only listen. Also, there's a really wonderful thing called an index. Did you know that you could find and examine any program we've done? We've done these almost a year now, so there's lots of them. All the guests, Monica has put this together with descriptions about everything that happened in every single show. And of course, it's listed by date. You can go down and see if you've missed any that perhaps would be interesting to you. Just a reminder, all replays are forever as long as you're a member. There's no time limit. And of course, the longer we do this and the more programs we have, that list gets bigger and bigger. Are you receiving this live streaming chat, whole thing? Is it good or is there a problem? Here's where I tell you, if the audio is going on and off, if the picture is weird, you have to reboot, you have to it's probably the internet, and it can be great one day and not the next. So, don't try to fix it. Just stop. Don't be frustrated. Come back and see the replay. You're going to see that quite a bit, I would say, and that is that from us, you're going to see that the replay is stellar, it's perfect, and sometimes the streaming is not. So I just wanted to let you know, please don't be frustrated. You might have noticed the chat for the last month or so, we've been using a new kind of chat, and the chat is active no matter what. So in case the actual streaming goes down, the chat remains, and that means that our studio can tell you what's going on and why it stopped, and also tell you if we're coming back. So that's new, and it's just better technology, and thanks to everybody who put that together, because it makes a whole lot more sense.
Very good. Well, we love getting your questions, so keep those questions coming. It's in your portal where you can submit a question. And you can also find it very easily on cryonmasters.com/questions.
That's all lowercase, by the way.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Here's the short and fast list of how to do a question. Make sure that it's no personal questions. Have the question that you think others might benefit from and would be interested in. And if you can make them concise and short. And one other thing, make sure there's a question in there. Don't just give us a lifelong story and leave us hanging about what the question is.
It's not that we don't want to read your story. It's the fact that it's tough to find the question in the story.
That's right. And we really do love answering those questions.
Indeed.
So here is our first question. It comes from Carol. Carol's in Western Australia. Hey, another Aussie. Great to see you here with us. She's asking, why do I weep sometimes just at the thought of Kryon when I listen to him speak? And who is he? That's a big question, Lee.
We can answer that too. It helped. We got some helps coming. However, I could answer that with a joke. And you'd say, well, why would I do that? And the answer is because I can. It's my show and I'm Lee. And so here it says, why do I cry when Kryon comes in? Well, of course, the name is Kryon. And so you're going to want to do that. I want to tell you, Carol, that for years, ever since I started channeling, literally almost the first time we ever sat down in front of people, even small groups, there was weeping. And so this has been something that is very, very common. And it has nothing to do with the entity Kryon. It has to do with you. It has to do with those who listen and cognize what's going on. A door seems to open of some kind that lets through that precious feeling of spirit, of the loving entity that Kryon is, but what Kryon represents is an open door to the other side of the veil. I think that just the cognizing of the channeling, just being there and accepting this is from the other side of the veil, is really something, because that then allows us to feel that which is so much bigger, I think, than what we expect. So, for a very, very long time, people have asked this very, very question about why do I weep? I wept the first time I sat in the chair. It's a story I'm not going to repeat, except that when Kryon came to me the first time, I had challenged Spirit. I said, if you're real, show me. And that's when I sat in the chair, and that's when Kryon came in, and that's when the weeping started from my standpoint. So I know what you're talking about. And it was the kind of, you weep with a beauty, not with sadness. There was no sadness at all. It's just like the most beautiful love story you've ever seen, and you just want to cry because it is so beautiful. And that's the way I felt. So I really, truly ally with your question, because it happened to me. Now, the second part of your question is, who is Kryon? We have answered that, and I know it's not a very, very long answer. Maybe you'll like that, but we put a little video out, and it's in your portal, and you can tell them where that video is.
Well, actually, I'm not 100% sure if it's in the portal, but you can definitely see it when you go to cryonmasters.com And there's a whole menu tab across the front of that web page. And right in the right corner, there's a thing called blog. So when you go to cryonmasters.com, look for the blog, click on that, and as you scroll down, one of the things you'll see is who is Kryon. And it's a great little answer from Lee, and there's a video message from Lee answering that very question. But essentially, I love that we all call Kryon a he. It's probably also a she, but we get so endeared by he because it's coming through Lee in a male's voice.
That's absolutely true. And
that's why we identify Kryon as a he. And sometimes I catch myself saying he, and then I say, no, Monica, that's not correct. It's an energy group. You can't even call it a she. It's not a he. But we're just biased as humans to do that.
And you're right. It probably is not in the portal. And I just said that. So it's on the website, cryonmasters.com, upper right-hand corner, blog. Pull it down, and then you'll find it's about a minute or so of my explanation of who is Kryon. And the reason I did that is because of people like you, Carol, asking, who is he?
Yeah.
And it's so interesting to me because I've been doing it for 31 years. We have so many more people coming online now after all these years answering the question, who is Kryon, who is Kryon? And now we get it continually yet again. So I made a little video, and then we just told you how to find it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Carol. And we're moving on for another question. This one comes from Donna. She's in Hayward, California, and she's asking, when we go across the bridge to the other side for the circle of 12, do we bring back a part of it in our soul? And then she finishes the question by saying that I feel some of it stays inside me when I return. Donna's question shows she's an old soul.
Truly. And Donna, what you're feeling is not part, you're not bringing back part of your soul, you're bringing back an awareness of your soul. This is what the Circle of 12 is for. It brings an awareness of a grander truth. And it feels like that you have brought back perhaps a part of you that wasn't there before, but it's an awareness. Because Kryon says your soul, all of it, is always with you to tap into, to work with. And this is what the Circle of 12 is doing, is going back and forth. So if you feel that you have a piece of it you've taken back, all you've done is to be aware of it or activate that which you already had. So, but great question.
Wonderful. And finally, we have Nina from Ecuador. She's asking, when we invite the souls of our ancestors and those that we have loved and lost to join us, are they coming from where they are now in their reincarnated beings? This is a huge question because not only is she acknowledging our ancestors and loved ones, but the fact that they've reincarnated. And that's why she's asking, is that, like, where are they coming from?
This is so common to ask this. Many people don't go and do the analytical part that you have done, Nina, because if you think about it, that has to be the question. Let's say you're going to access someone you loved and lost. We have gone through a number of those, I would say, teachers who are actively accessing those who passed on. So the question is, if they have reincarnated, who are you talking to? And this question comes right from the bias of our 3D, and we all ask it. And we see ourselves as singular. For instance, let's say a person is alive on the planet, they pass over, they spend some time there, this is how we see it, and then they reincarnate. So we're following their soul, and we're saying, okay, they're on Earth, they're off of Earth, now they're back on Earth, or they're off, and we see it as some kind of linear story of where they are, and that's not true. Kryon says, how linear of you? First of all, we are all almost everywhere. You are right now in many places, and Kryon has given you this information and said, you're not going to understand it. It's a multidimensional concept, and you're not thinking that way. So how can you be in many places at the same time? And it's just in a recent channel, Kryon, it says, you don't have any trouble with that with praying to Spirit or God, do you? Because they can listen to all of these prayers at the same time. And yet, when it comes to us, we can't. Yes, we can. Yes, we can be in multiple places at the same time because there is a multidimensionality of us that we are simply not living and understanding it. So let's go to this. Let's explain this just a little better. Kryon has given a couple of channels. One of them is in soul splitting. I think there was even a seminar that I gave in soul splitting, or at least that was part of it. And it has to do with this, that we are many, and we're not just one. So, for instance, I don't know where your beginning soul would come from. Let's say first time on the planet. Your soul is there, it goes to the other side, and immediately it stays there. Now, part of it reincarnates, and some of it stays there. Now, let's say you reincarnate again, and you got family members or whatever. Kryon says, get ready for something you didn't expect. Is that when you pass over, when they pass over, a part of you stays with them until they pass over. And this is how the connection works to lost loved ones, because a part of them is there. And this is a beautiful example of the love of Spirit taking care of us and keeping the love alive and all of this thing. But meanwhile, we are multiple. A piece of you is in your children, even after you're gone, with your partner, if they survive you, after you're gone. And that piece is accessible, so much so to continue the love. You're on the other side, supposedly, but you're many places, and then you reincarnate. A piece of you stays there at that soul level. So the answer is you can speak to your past loved one very clearly, even though they may have reincarnated into another life, into a 3D aspect. You're still talking to that precious part of them that you love, that loves you. And just to give validation, if you can, any of these, most of them, it's hard, but the real validation is for those who have had experiences of talking to their loved ones years and years after they passed. They are probably reincarnate already, and yet you're talking to them in a non-reincarnate way. And this is because Kryon says in this new energy, we don't stay on the other side of the veil very long at all. In fact, Kryon says you're on the other side of the veil just long enough to come back. This is because the new energy needs our wisdom. It needs us to come back quickly and continue to remember. And so any of those of you who had this experience, especially with parents or loved ones or children who were old souls, and you know they're probably back, reincarnate, and they're still talking to you at the soul level. Is that complicated?
It's incredibly complicated, but we are moving into a multidimensional concept, and we're attempting to answer it in a linear way.
Yes. This demands perhaps a lot more explanation. So in the works, I think, are some of these concepts that are so difficult to explain that perhaps we'll actually do separate shows on and just run through some things and give some examples.
Yeah. But again, I love the analogy Kryon always gives us about not needing to know the manual for how to drive a car. You just get into the car and drive it. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to go into a meditation and hear more from Kryon. And I invite you to place your hands on your heart and just connect. Connect in with this beautiful organ that effortlessly beats within your body without you even consciously thinking about your heart. It is always there, constantly beating a rhythm, sustaining your life. And surrounding that beautiful, precious heart of yours are the energies of all your ancestors, all of those who you have loved and have ended their time on earth and are still with you in a multidimensional way. And we don't need to know the details of how it happens. We simply need to acknowledge that it does happen. They are there. They are loving us. And in this quiet moment, perhaps you may even be feeling, sensing, or receiving a message of love from someone you have loved or an ancestor communicating with you right now. And if they had a message to share, their message is this: bravo, congratulations, because you are never truly alone. We are always here in support of you, and we honour the journey you are on. We give you again the phrase from Kryon: you are never alone. You are dearly loved. You are magnificent. And you are loved beyond measure.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. We have been giving you a series of messages and some advice. And the messages today are different than the messages perhaps of 10 years ago. And the reason is that the energy on this planet for you, surrounding you, has changed. And the changing of that energy has stimulated something in old souls. You take a look at who would be watching this program. A program like this, many years ago, would not have viewership. And that's a fact. My partner even tried things, thinking that many would be interested perhaps in viewing the channelings and the messages and all that. And yet few were. I'm here to tell you that this very process of watching, as you're doing right now, in the media that you're using right now, is new. But what's truly new is that those who are interested is almost exponential now compared to 20 years ago. Something is happening to awaken those with a question. Is this real? Is there something more here? Why do I feel something when I hear the words or even the voice? That's a question even of today, even in this program today. An awakening is more than just knowledge. You awaken perhaps to more light. And how would you say that? You'd say, well, yesterday I didn't have as much light, today I do. Well, that is not what really truly is happening. What is happening is you're able to see more. It's not about the light. It's about the concept of what you now can see because of the light. And what are you seeing now because of the light that's different, let's say, than 10 or 20 years ago? And the answer is there is an awareness. You are seeing far more than you ever did, far more than you were ever told. You might say it's like you're looking at a large room that suddenly is illuminated more, and you say, oh my goodness, this room is a lot larger than I was told. And look over there in the corner, there's something moving. I wonder what it is. Some will get up and go to the corner, and some will say, stay put, because it's scary. Just don't, it's worked for you so far, hasn't it? So why move? And the others will say, I have to know, I have to know, I have to know. And they will go over and they will see that motion in the corner. Kryon has even given a parable about this, and what they will discover is a grander truth, more of themselves, perhaps another door to another place. That's what's going on right now. And so it changes you. It changes your perception, your awareness. It changes also what you're like. And here's what I mean. So many human beings, including yourself, including my partner, are guided and shaped by what they enjoy and what they don't enjoy. And early on in your life, you draw lines of what you like, what you don't like, and they alter themselves slightly as you grow up, but you come out as an adult and you'll say, I do this, I do that, here's what I like, here's what I don't. If the room gets bigger, there are more things to like, and there are more things to examine, perhaps, and say, no, not for me. And that's what's also happening. You'll have those who are now awakening saying, I no longer wish to do this or participate in this, and I wish to do this or that, because the consciousness is raising, and so are you. So your likes and dislikes are different. This particular message series is about light workers doing ordinary things and coping with the energies of the planet. And this one is about going to work. And it's different from the last one. It's different from a family relationship and what to do there. It's different from just an average of walking around with people and what happens there. And we've covered there 2 of those, and this is the third. So let's speak of that. Once again, the premise. Why are you here? It would seem super simple. Dear old soul on this planet right now at this time, you incarnated on purpose. You were born for this time. Your purpose is to show and mirror the face of God, the face of Spirit, the face of the Creator, of your soul, to mirror that in 3D as you walk from place to place. To show those around you what it's like to have wisdom, what it's like to have benevolence and kindness, instead of all of the other things that perhaps that they are used to seeing with individuals around the planet. There are so many humans invested in being a victim, the doom and gloom of it all. There is no hope, being cynical about absolutely everything and everyone, and that is not a surprise, because if you watch your media, they train that. In other words, everything is wrong with everything. And that's how you become. But an old soul has a choice to change that. And that's what we're discussing. And that's what the last 2 lessons have been. Now we come to the third one. The workplace. The workplace is absolutely filled with situations. And they're almost endless. You are reporting to, perhaps, a place with other individuals who are working in team effort with you in different areas and different offices or different factories. For those of you who report to a place like that, you didn't choose them. Now, you might say there are no accidents, but indeed, you didn't choose these. It mean no accident that they're there at the workplace, but you didn't choose them on the other side of the veil. They are there as a scenario for you to act with or interact with or whatever. But basically, for survival, you report to these places. And question after question, what do I do about this or that? And so many of those questions are about authority. What do I do about my boss? I wish it were different, dear ones, but many times authority is not wise. In fact, there is a dysfunction in the personality, and they enjoy being the boss. And being the boss to them is ordering people around, or perhaps even worse, being the boss is telling people what's wrong with them. In other words, what I'm telling you is they're bullies. Not all of them. You might have a wonderful, stellar, wise boss that you love, somebody who is in authority. You won't even call him a boss. You'll just call him the one you report to, and you love it. But most often not. They may be there in that position because of their abilities, of their consciousness in the workplace that they have. They know more. They've been there longer. Therefore, they are the boss. But nothing has trained them for the wisdom it would take to guide others. And so they become a bully. This is very, very common. The bully is the one who just relishes being able to be in charge of somebody and tell that person they're no good, or they should do better, or bring them up and bawl them out in some way to make them feel bad. And if they can make